Welcome to Ask Rabbit Entitled Parents. I have some awesome stories for you today. Let's jump right into it. This first post is titled, Entitled Woman Tries to Get Family Evicted and It Backfires. My boyfriend just told me this story and I thought it belonged here. When he was 14, he was living with his mom and sister on a housing estate. It was summer and he liked a bit of light in his upstairs bedroom, so he left the curtains open at all times. That included when he was getting dressed and after having a shower, so if you purposefully stared at his window, you could only see him from his waist up. Well, their neighbor did not like that one bit. She went pounding on their door, yelling at my mother-in-law that her son was a disgrace, hanging around always naked and exposing himself to her daughter, same age as him. My mother-in-law told her he had every right to do whatever he wanted in his bedroom and that if they didn't want to see him, all they needed to do was to not look. A couple of days went by and lo and behold, the police showed up at their door. Turned out the neighbor had been filming and taking pictures of my boyfriend to show to the housing people as evidence of his wrongdoing to get them kicked out. Except that the housing office called the police on her for taking pictures and videos of an underage kid and kicked her and her family out. Alright, this next post is titled, My Mother Broke My Wrist Because I Wouldn't Ride a Horse. My mother is not a good person, and when thinking of ways to describe her, a few names come to mind. Annie Wilkes from Misery and Margaret White from Carrie, just to name a few. Stephen King depicted my mother quite nicely in those books. Since a very early age, my mother was mentally and physically abusive towards me and my older brother, who's autistic. This is a story of one of those occasions, of which there were many. I think I was about 8 at the time. My younger sister was my mom's golden child. She lived up to all of my mother's dearest high expectations and liked doing everything that our mom did, like riding horses. I was never interested in doing any of it, probably because of her poor treatment towards me for most of my childhood. My mom and dad had separated when I was very young, but they were civil around each other for the benefit of me and my siblings. At this point, my dad and family members on my dad's side didn't know the things my mom did to me and my brother. I can remember this day so vividly. We were visiting my aunt and her husband, my dad's sister, who lived on a farm. They were all interested in riding horses, but knew that I wasn't, which was never an issue to them. My mother, on the other hand, wasn't so understanding. My sister, who was 5 at the time, was riding around on a Shetland pony with my uncle walking beside her, and I was sitting on the veranda watching her. My brother had walked off down the driveway a few hours before this, so he was nowhere in sight. He's high-functioning autistic and was fine to be on his own. He was 11, and this was a small and safe rural town. While sitting and watching, my mother walked up to me. My dad was with my aunt on the other side of the farm. "Why won't you come ride with your sister?" "Because I don't want to." "Don't be a spoiled brat. Get up off your lazy butt now." "Mom, you know I don't like riding horses and I'm not good at it. Please don't make me." "Get up now, you lazy piece of crap." She grabbed me by my wrist and pulled me hard and fast forward off the chair. I felt a sharp pain in my wrist as she pulled and I screamed out in pain. "Mom, you're hurting me. Stop, my wrist." "Stop being a sook and get up." My wrist hurt so bad and began to throb in pain, but whenever I said something about it, Mom just accused me of faking it to get out of doing things. She walked me over to where my dad and aunt were, with my mom dragging me by my now broken wrist, and when we got there, my dad noticed I was crying. He said, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" My mom said, still squeezing my wrist to keep me from saying anything, "She's fine. She wants to ride a horse." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do. You want to ride the big horse, don't you?" All of my objections were ignored by my mom, and she made my dad help me onto a horse. Bareback. The big horse was a Clydesdale. Anyone who knows anything about horses will know that a Clydesdale is far too big for an average inexperienced horse rider, let alone an 8-year-old girl. And this horse was easily spooked, so having a new person on his back that didn't know what they were doing was enough to spook him. He jerked forward quickly and bucked me off. I landed in the grass with my hands taking most of the impact, which made the pain in my wrist even worse. The impact wasn't hard enough to break my wrist, but it was already broken before I'd gotten onto the horse. My mom came rushing over to me to see if I was okay. I was crying in pain and grasping onto my wrists. My mom, doing her best fake concerned mother act, "Oh, you poor thing, are you okay? Let me help you up." "My wrist, it hurts." "Oh no, you must have broken it when you fell." Dad took me to the hospital and my wrist was broken. When I told Dad that Mom broke my wrist, he didn't believe me. Not because he was a neglectful parent, but because he saw me fall into my hands, so he put two and two together. Most of my cries for help as a child fell on deaf ears. I spent the next 8 weeks with my wrist in a cast, which made school hard, as I couldn't hold a pen. It was my right wrist and I'm right-handed. I want to say that this was the worst thing my mother has done to me, but I'm sad to say it isn't. I'm no longer in contact with her, and my life is better without her in it. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed those first two stories. Before we get into the next stories, if you guys could please do me a huge favor and hit that like button down below. It really does help the video. And make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future videos. Alright, this next post is titled, "The Swings Are Only for My Kid." I was on the swings at my country club with my sister one day, just talking and having a good time. I was 7 and my sister was 6-ish. Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid walk up. Entitled Mom says, "My angel says you won't let him on the swings. Is that true?" I say scared, "No." Remember, I'm 7 and I'm not used to having angry Karens coming out of nowhere and yelling at me. "How dare you call my angel a liar? He told me so and he never lies." I say, still scared, almost shaking, I'm sorry, but I didn't say he could not go on the swings." "Where is your mother? I need to tell her how rude you were to me and my son." This was the oldest trick in the book. I pointed to the nearest woman and said, "Her," as fast as possible, and booked it for my real mom. My mom, seeing us run over, said, "What happened?" Me and my sister say, "Some lady started yelling at us for no reason." My sister didn't talk during the initial Karen attack because she was on the verge of tears. Remember, we are 7 and 6 years old. My mom says, "Where is she? I need to go talk to her." I say, "Over there." My mom walks over to Entitled Mom, who's now in a lawn chair. "Hey, were my kids being disrespectful to you?" My mom takes the strategy of killing them with kindness. "Yes, they were not letting my kid go on the swings." "Oh, I'm sorry, but I saw what happened, and I did not see your kids say anything to my kids. And they don't say he did either." "Are you calling my son a liar? How dare you?" Entitled Kid starts running in the background. I take notice and realize what he's doing. He's running directly towards the swings. Me, being the petty little 7-year-old that I was, took off running trying to save our swings. My sister soon realized this too and started running. We beat him there by a second, and he jumped right onto my swing anyway with me on it. I pushed him off, and the following ensues. Entitled Kid jumps up to the tower next to the swings with a handful of wood chips from the floor of the playground, throws them like carpet bombs, getting me and my sister very dirty. Entitled Mom then comes running over with my mom close behind. "You hurt my baby, you little—" "There, children, watch your mouth." Yes, my mom was that kind of parent. "Well, they hurt him, and I will not stand by while you let your kids make all of their own decisions on their own. They are rude and hurtful and should never be allowed to come here." Keep in mind that this is a members-only club, and you need a friend to be there all ready to sponsor you, so it's hard to get into. Entitled Mom grabs my arm and throws me off the swings nearly to the ground. A country club employee who had seen the whole thing, "Ma'am, I'm going to need to ask you to leave this family alone, or you'll be asked to leave. Your child threw wood chips all over these kids here, and they did nothing wrong." Entitled Mom said while pointing at us, "It was them. They attacked my kid and were going to attack me. They pushed my baby off the swings and were going to attack me." He said, "Ma'am, I'm going to need to ask you to leave." "No, it was those little monsters." "Now." Entitled Mom grabs her kid and leaves. Alright, this next post is titled, "So what, my kid almost burned down your house. He was just having fun." This story may need some background. It was Thanksgiving of 2019. A lot of people had shown up. Many relatives, their kids. In general, everyone was having a good time. There was one aunt that no one liked. If you stood next to her, you could probably see entitlement dripping off of her. Nobody had invited her to any family occasion since she threw a tantrum. Yes, a 24-year-old woman at the time threw a tantrum because she was not included in my late grandpa's will. She was your typical Karen with the vaccines cause autism, don't trust medicine sort of crap. So dinner had been served, everyone is eating, and in general having a good time. The kids are at the children's table in the kitchen, while the adults and some of the older and more mature kids and teens are in the living room. After about 20 minutes after starting eating, we hear screams. My cousin and I jump up and rush to the kitchen. Origin of the screams. Kids are running out of there left and right and center. The scene in there is chaos. There were sticks on the ground, marshmallows strewn everywhere, a towel on fire on the stove, sticks burning on the stove. And just like that, the fire alarm went off. My dad yelled, "Stand back!" With the fire extinguisher, he most likely saved our house. So after rounding up about 7 kids, we got to cracking figuring out what had happened, although it was pretty clear. My grandma said, "So what happened here?" Let's call him Cousin 1. We were eating when entitled kids said we should roast marshmallows. We will call this one Cousin 2. Went outside and gathered sticks. Entitled kid then turned on the stove. Cousin 1's stick started to burn, so he dropped it in the stove by accident. Then entitled kid got a towel to try and fan out the flames, which also caught on fire. Then Cousin 3 screamed, which brought everyone here. Everyone now looks at entitled kid. Grandma says, "Do you have anything to say?" while looking at entitled mom. Entitled mom says, "What's wrong? He was just having fun. Plus, nothing serious happened." Grandma says, "Nothing serious happened? Your child nearly burned your sister's house to the ground." "Exactly. Nearly." "So, are you going to apologize or not?" "Apologize for what? He's a kid." My grandma then proceeded to kick her out with a few swear words for the road. Honestly, she and her kid ruined our whole Thanksgiving. After we had finished with the whole ordeal, the food was cold. Quite a lot of family members proceeded to cut her out of their lives. The last I heard of her was in March this year when she somehow found my social media account and came to beg me to ask my mom to get her some money. I promptly proceeded to block her. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's Entitled Parents video. I hope you guys enjoyed those 4 stories. If you did, definitely drop a comment down below letting me know what your favorite story was and hit that like button for me. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.